what's up, Guardians? This is the This Week at Bungie, 4/29/2021, featuring some of the largest news we've received in quite a long while. And we will be jumping off with what they plan to do for the rest of Season of the Chosen. They have already instilled the double rewards for the Nightfalls, so you can get quite a bit of the legendary rolls that you need. They will now have, next week, will be the Infamy, double Infamy for the Gambit, so you can finish up any of the Gambit stuff that you need to do. And then if you go to Bungie Rewards, you can redeem the free Thrill of the Chase emblem as you complete the Master of All Triumphs triumph. The biggest news coming from this update is that the Vault of Glass raid will finally be coming to Destiny, the very first raid that was ever featured in Destiny's history, and it will be coming along with the Day 1 race, so that teams can go head-to-head to see who can pull off the raid the fastest. They will have the Vault of Glass raid going live May 22nd at 10 a.m. PDT, and it will have the contest mode for the first 24 hours, as is standard rules for the Day 1 race. They will be... Our goal is not to fundamentally evolve this raid into something completely new, so this will be the first race outside of previous hard modes where players have a broad understanding of what to expect, while still encountering challenges they have to adapt to, meaning that this won't be like every other Day 1 race where everybody's trying to understand the basic mechanics of the puzzles or of the encounters, but it will be something that they are saying that you'll have to adapt to. It will be at 1300 power cap for all the encounters, with, of course, the exception that contest mode will be on, which, if you don't know what that is, you can click the link in the patch notes, which I will be putting in the description of the video. The clearing the vault on contest mode active, it will be the first step to access the new challenge mode in the Director and Tempo's Edge Triumph. The Triumph will be there only for Day 1 and will disappear as soon as Day 1 ends. So this means that you won't be a stain on your Triumphs page whenever you don't get a Day 1, and it'll only stay on people's pages who have gotten it Day 1. They will have the clan name, the belt and clan name of the OG World's First Fire Team featured. The challenge mode and Tempo's Edge Triumph will be available for the first 24 hours. That's going over what I just said. And there is a huge sandbox change coming to the all weapons, heavy weapons especially, which will involve a clear explanation of roles so that all can be understood, and which ones will do what will be understood completely. It breaks down into 3 of Add Clear, Single Damage Target, and Burst Damage. These fall under just clearing weak enemies as fast as humanly possible. Single target damage, burning bosses, and burst damage is dealing with champions. It then goes over it a little bit more right here. The way that these weapons will fall into these roles is swords, ammo efficient add clear, single target sustained damage, secondary burst damage, at the cost of being right next to a champion. Rocket launchers, burst damage, and secondary add clear, which the secondary add clear is really specified under weapons like Wardcliff Coil and Eyes of Tomorrow, weapons like that. Burst damage will be like Two-Tail Fox, will be great for eliminating champions. The machine guns will be able to do extremely efficient add clear, secondary single target sustained damage, and they plan on very specifically adjusting machine guns in a future season. They're not currently addressing them this season. Linear fusion rifles will have an extremely large single target sustained damage, where the target has a handy crit spot, such as Sepicus Prime, such as any of the big Fallen with their enormous heads. These will be extremely good for linear fusion rifles, such as Sleeper Simulant. The drum grenade launchers, burst add clear, and secondary single target damage. This is I think basically the secondary single target damage might be specifying Witherhoard exactly, because that's one of the best for hitting them whenever you also have another grenade launcher or a linear fusion rifle in your heavy slot. Exotic snipers, single target sustained damage where the target has a handy crit spot. Once again, the big ones like Servitors, Enormous Fallen, stuff like that. And this will put an emphasis once again on Whisper of the Worm being insanely good for single damage crit spots if they ever stop nerfing heavy snipers. It then says a few examples. Yep, linear fusion rifles, burning down champions, boss damage where the boss has a crit spot, or with divinity. The rocket launchers, burst damage against champions or bosses, particularly with lasting impression. Cleaning up clumped up waves of tough adds. Whenever they're all coming out of their spawn doors, you can just wipe them right then and there. Machine guns breaking matching shields and GMs where our other weapons can't do the trick. That's really good. You can break them really fast, where otherwise the damage that they're doing would have easily broken you. The balance philosophy. There are two approaches we are taking. We are taking to making balancing changes. Big swings. Making a big change that we will believe will immediately encourage new player behavior. Most useful when we need to nerf or buff something hard enough that everyone can tell that it's happened. With the exception that they will need to dial the tuning back at a later release. Basically, taking something down so low that everyone's realized it's been nerfed and then tweaking it back up to where it needs to be. Just to deal with a serious situation and then slowly bringing it back into the meta at a more balanced rate. Incremental changes. This is basically what the last part of big swings is, where you tweak it slightly so that it's actually becoming more balanced, not completely broken down, and then building it back up from the ground. In most releases, they will be implementing both types of changes, so that's good. This is addressing a small note on damage fall-off distances. When we call out changes to the damage fall-off distance, we always do so according to a weapon's base damage fall-off, i.e. hipfire damage fall-off distance increases difficulty based on weapon zoom, increases differently based on a weapon zoom. For example, fusion rifles distance, charge, descriptive blow. Weapon archetypes. Precision, 450. Auto rifles. This subfamily fell behind other auto rifles in the auto rifle tuning last year, so damage has been increased to be closer to the time to kill of others. Basically, it was firing too slow, and there wasn't enough precision damage whenever you were using it. So it was basically just a worse version of higher RPM auto rifles. And so now it's being changed from 17 to 18, which we'll see if that really helps. Rares, we added a rare machine gun and bow to the world's loot pool recently. We didn't have any obtainable linear fusion rifles or breach grenade launchers and wanted to make sure that these archetypes were easily accessible. Added existing but unforgettable rare linear fusion rifle and breach grenade launchers to the world loot pool. Linear fusion rifles. These are an unpopular choice in PvE. I used to be I used to main sleeper Simulant. Even though I am a huge fan of Bad Juju, I'd keep Bad Juju out of my exotic slot just so I could have sleeper. And with some of the recent nerfs where they just basically kicked it in its teeth until it died, it's not any more noticeably stronger than just a random legendary. They're going to be increasing the precision damage by 15%. And increased ammo reserves by 20. So if you also have the Sleeper's Catalyst, I don't know that these will stack, but if they do, it will give you quite a few more shots and may bring Sleeper back into the meta, which that's something I'm pretty excited about. Fusion rifles, the recent buff to fusion rifle ranges has had a side effect of making the best subfamily for PvP high impact even better. So increased damage fall off, start distance for fusion rifles, no effect on 100 range stat, plus 2 meters on 0 range stat. So that'll just be a little bit of a balancing. That's really just looping back to the incremental changes that they've talked about to just tweak everything down to a base meta. The perks, substance. Substance. When we made this perk, we were experimenting with unusual downsides for powerful perks, but ultimately decided that reducing reserves wasn't an interesting trade-off. We also wanted to be able to put the perk on special and heavy weapons, where reducing reserves would feel terrible. Some machine guns were granting a smaller magazine fraction than auto rifles, so we fixed that at the same time. No longer reduces reserve ammunition. Okay. Submachine guns now receive the same ammo fraction per takedown that auto rifles do. Was 10% like most weapons, now 17, same as auto rifles. You really felt this with, say, a submachine gun, where you would burn through somebody, but you'd only be getting 10% back, and you would noticeably run out of ammo, even using a auto rifle with a similar ammo pool. So I'm really glad they made this change. I was recently just using escape velocity with substance, and I would notice that I would run out of ammo insanely fast. High impact reserves and under pressure due to technical constraints at the time these were created. The trigger condition for these was on a projectile impact, i.e. the bonus won't take effect unless the weapon, unless you fire the weapon once. But we have more flexibility with perked activators now. They are now active as long as the conditions are met. So that's very good. Unrelenting. This was hard to trigger in difficult content. Now easier to trigger in PvE, immediately triggers on majors and heals 20% more. That's amazing. Sympathetic Arsenal now grants a plus 20 reload in addition to its primary effect. That's good, because it was kind of falling behind as, yeah, useful in niche situations and a little bit of a buff. So that's good, because normally why bring that when you could have like a substance rampage? Why have Sympathetic Arsenal on one of your weapons? Dragonfly is always bugged us. The Dragonfly wouldn't proc on every enemy you could finish with a precision hit. You really feel this with bows, because I would have a bow with Archer's Tempo and Dragonfly, and I would notice quite a bit whenever Dragonfly wouldn't proc. The now works on heavy shanks and servitors and occurs even faster than after the Season of the Chosen fix. So that'll be really good and help out, especially bows, scout rifles, stuff like that. The really slow firing, ad clearing LMGs, that'll really help them not waste as much ammo on their ad clear. Hipfire Grip was changed. Plus 1 degrees precision hipfire angle threshold, plus 1.2 times reticle stickiness, fall off distance. So that's really good. It'll help target acquisition a little bit more. 1 degree doesn't sound like much, but for reference, hand cannon aim assist cone angle is 2.5 degrees at 0 AA to 3 degrees at 100 AA. And you can feel the difference between 90 AA hand cannon and 100 AA hand cannon. So the small difference can be significant. Note that the precision hipfire angle caps at the aim down sights aim assist cone angle. Iron grip, iron gaze, and iron reach. We are cautious when making stat bump perks in Season of Arrivals. The not wanting to break weapons stat ranges at too low of a cost, but the penalties these shipped with were too much, and now we've seen them in the wild. Reduced secondary stat penalty from -40 to -30, so just making them a little bit more viable in people's weapon choices. Osmosis and Elemental Capacitor. We didn't have time to address these when Stasis came into being, and but always wanted to make sure they work correctly with playing a Stasis subclass. Osmosis now switches the weapon to Stasis damage when playing a Stasis subclass. This should work for any mechanics that ask for Stasis damage, but not for Stasis ability damage. Also created Stasis VFX for all weapon types that Osmosis can appear on, more coming later. So that's really cool. We'll actually be able to utilize Stasis in our secondaries and in our primaries and in our elemental slots. So that'll be really interesting. Elemental Capacitor with Stasis subclass grants plus recoil direction and reduces ADS move penalty. So now it's getting its own part of Elemental Capacitor, which is really cool. No distractions because of an exotic change below. The sniper rifle flinch changes in Season of the Chosen. We wanted to make no distractions a more appealing option for combating flinch. Reduces trigger time from 1.5 seconds to 1 second and increases flinch reduction from 30% to 35%. All good. Celerity and Bottomless Grief. I probably butchered that word. We addressed these specifically in an earlier TWAB, and here are these buffs again. They now grant, the one I can't pronounce now grants plus 20 to handling and plus 20 to reload in addition to the triggered effect. And Bottomless Grief now grants a plus 30 to a magazine in addition to the triggered effect. Just really good buffs. Thresh, this change is already live, and not a buff so much as a bug fix. Thresh unintentionally only worked in PvP for certain weapons and Beyond Light, but Thresh now works for all weapon types in PvP since Season of the Chosen launch. So that was a little bug, but just bug fixing. Mods, Adept Magazine and Adept Targeting. Same reasoning as the Iron Banner perks. So, okay. Reduce secondary stat penalty to lower and fix the reserves not applying to swords. That's pretty good. Counterbalance has increased the recoil direction benefit. That's good. That allows for faster target acquisition and faster follow-up shot. Exotics, here's what they were referencing earlier. The changes to the Mida multi-tool catalyst makes it from outlaw to no distractions, as people were saying that they were losing gunfights because of weapons with more flinch. Hawkmoon increased priority of para-casual charge and para-casual shot buff text, and this was something that was dropping off at the bottom of the list. So that was just kind of like a UI fix. The future, something further into Season 14, we expect to touch on the following. All shotguns. We don't expect the change to the 2 dominant shotguns, replacing quick draw with surplus and nerfing quick draw to make more to really move the needle on shotgun usage overall in PvP, which it is really bad right now in PvP. We agree that with some of the comments that weapon usage is not only dependent on tuning, but that map design is also a factor. However, we want more weapons to be viable on all maps. Like there's like 2 maps where a scout rifle is viable, where you'll just be trying to just cross map somebody with a sniper rifle or a scout rifle, and somebody with a shotgun will slide around the like 95 corners that surround you and just instantly one tap you, and you're done, making it to where your weapon choice was basically defeat. However, we want more weapons that achieve this through tuning, giving other special weapons rooms to excel. So maybe we'll see more fusion rifles, more sniper rifles. We'll see. Dead Man's Tale, with the upcoming nerf to 120 hand cannon range, we expect to see a surge in Dead Man's Tale usage. Yeah, I've seen it a little bit, like 30, 40 Guardians using it, maybe more, if I was paying more attention. So when they nerf 120 hand cannons range, the only viable option that will play similarly will be Dead Man's Tale. So that'll be really good. The go for gold is this is some stuff about hot fixes. Titan Contender Eververse armor set no longer makes the player's body invisible in first person. That's pretty funny. Glows will now work with almost all shaders on the Eververse Warlock Guardian Games Universal Ornament set. That's cool. Ava's weekly and daily Guardian Games bounties will now reset after completing them. Players are no longer being shown inappropriate ownership of future seasons on the Season Pass UI. Okay. The Guardian Games Bungie Rewards. Players who are interested in acquiring or purchasing the 3 Bungie reward items associated with Guardian Games 2021 have until the event ends on May 11th, which will be during the closing ceremony, at the weekly reset to complete the associated in-game triumph. Okay. Players need to claim their rewards through the Bungie Rewards play. So we know that. Weekly known issues. Subclass-specific emblems no longer unlock the new light completion. The cowbell multiplier emote sound effect fades in and out during use. That's weird. The stompies. Exotic hunter legs create gap at the waist when used with contender vest on feminine model. The female player model. That's a weird way for them to phrase it. The capture completionist triumph might not be unlocking for players who meet the requirement, and the reactive pulse arm mods may no longer be emitting a burst damage arc energy. Okay. Then they do another exciting movie of the week. Some movie of the week winners. I'll just scroll through here so you can see them, and so you can see what their names are. The works of art. I've seen quite a bit of these on Twitter and on Reddit, so that's really cool. Here is the by Moria, the 3 classes with their cool little seasonal stuff. That's interesting. Here is Zavala done in, I think, a pencil drawing. It looks amazing. And finally, a little closing. The Guardian Games are ongoing, and Hunters are off to an early lead, boosted by their superior numbers. But as the bonuses continue to stack, the daily races are getting closer. We saw Warlocks take the first Guardian Games W on Wednesday, and we couldn't be prouder. Still, that's for the home team. Will Warlocks winning Wednesday mark a turning point, or are the Titans taking Tuesday only a matter of time? Maybe it'll be Hunters who put stop to all this wordplay. Only time will tell. There are still 2 thrilling weeks left in the games. It could be anyone's game. Less than 2 weeks to go before we usher in a new season. Keep your eyes peeled for more info next week. Heart Cosmo. So yep, that's pretty cool. We have all that new content coming, and me and my team will hopefully be trying to do Worlds First whenever it comes out. We have to probably get a team together, so it'll be the first time that me or any of my crew will be competing. So that'll be really interesting. I will see you Guardians later, and I'll be making a lot more content in the game. So have a good one.